Three, two, one. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this special Pop the Teacher tonight. I'm teacher Fabi Montanari, and I'm here to help you communicate better and improve your communication skills in English for business purpose. So I'm really happy to have you here. And this our talk tonight is going to be about conversation in English in business environments, right? So let's wait just 1 minute for everybody to join us. And meanwhile, I'd like to hear from you if you can listen to me really well, if the sound is okay, and if everything's all right, we're going to start soon, okay? People, this is part, I have to remind you that this is part of the warm-up for Semana do Inglês para o Trabalho. It's a special series of classes starting this Sunday, June the 23rd. The first class will be released 7 in the morning, and you are going to participate, and you're going to have the access for Mapa do Inglês. You are going to have some tasks that are going to be proposed in class. And if you have questions, of course, I'll be there to help you answer them. Okay, so just make sure that you have registered to participate in the event, and if you have, and that you have entered the WhatsApp group, because of course we are sending all the messages in on the email list, but WhatsApp is easier and faster for everybody to see that. Okay, so just make sure you are there and you're going to receive this information at first hand. Okay, let's start with that. Conversation in English at business environment. I had a problem here with my... 1 second, people. Yeah, now I'm okay. Now it's better. So, people, what we have this conversation in English. People, there are two things. First, people come to me and say, teacher, I just want conversation classes. And they don't really know what a conversation class is. But maybe you ask for a conversation class because, okay, that's what you have to do at work. You have to talk to people. So having this conversation practice will be a moment for you to practice, okay? Just before I continue, Marcelo said here, why is the class so early, 7 a.m.? The class is from Semana do Inglês para o Trabalho because they are taped. Some people like to do that first thing in the morning, but this is not going to be a problem because you can watch all day long, okay? You can watch it during the day. And so the classes, as they are taped, classes 1, 2, and 3, they are taped, they are recorded, and will be released, will be launched at 7 a.m. But you can watch all day long, okay? One class is on Sunday, second class is on Tuesday, and third class is on Thursday. Then the other Sunday, June the 30th, we have a live class to close the week of Semana do Inglês para o Trabalho. And then this is going to be live, and it will be at 7 p.m. So 3 classes at 7 a.m., 1 class, the last class, 7 p.m. But it's important for you to understand that you have to watch all of the classes because there is a sequence that I'm explaining. You need to understand the whole sequence. If you watch it in different orders, it could be a problem for you to get all the idea, okay? But pay attention to this then. Now coming back to this, why do people talk to me? It's quite often to get this request. Teacher, I want conversation classes only. But think with me. Conversation, we need, for us to talk, it's important that you understand that speaking is an active skill. Do you understand it? What is an active skill? We have passive skills and active skills. How do I classify them? Passive skills, they are skills that you receive the information. So reading, you receive the information because you have the article, you have the book, you have the email, you have the message, you read it. So you're receiving the information. Listening is a passive skill too. You are listening to an audio, you are listening to a podcast, You are listening to a video, a song, or whatever. You are receiving the information. On the other hand, we have writing and speaking as active skills according to my classification, because you need to find the words and put them in a logical sequence for you to get your message spread. Okay, so you have to understand that conversation will not happen unless you have the input. The input will is the reading and listening, and the output is the writing and speaking. So for you to be able to talk, for you to be able to speak in English, it will be necessary that you have the inputs. You won't have outputs if you don't have inputs. Does it make sense? Okay, so far so good. And then we have different kinds of conversation in English at business environments, and this is a talk today. We can have like a presentation in English, and a presentation will be good because you can get prepared. Imagine your topic will be to talk about the sales result of your department. So then you can get prepared for the topic, you can prepare your presentation, and this is what we do inside the method. I help each student to do that, to organize that. You need to get prepared sometimes by writing an email with the invitation for people to come to your presentation. In the method, inside the program, I help students. We have many classes focused to help students move from this, oh my God, I don't know what to do, to, okay, I know what I have to do. I can have 10 presentations per week. I know exactly which step I have to take. This is the importance of what I organized inside the method 8WI, to be a guidance, to guide you through these challenges. But presenting in English is okay. It's challenging for many people because talking in public is challenging, but we have this practice inside to help each student to overcome that. But we also prepare that. We prepare for the question and answer session. You have to be prepared for that. So in this moment, you are receiving the input, and then you use all the input to organize your idea to have the output, which is talking, having this conversation. And when this might be a problem, when it's like a free talk for people. What is a free talk? Imagine you are like having some coffee in the kitchen or in the in the coffee room that you have in your department, and someone come and start talking to you about any topic. It's a business environment. It's your boss that is visiting your company. He comes to the department uh, once a year or twice a year, and you have to impress him or her by what you know what to do. But then, oh my God, he's here. I don't know what to say. And then that's the moment you get scared. What if he asks me something and I don't know how to answer? Have you been there? So, oh my God, what if he says something and I don't know what to do? So the first thing here that you have to do is keep control of your emotions. Because when we get desperate, it's the worst thing. When you, and I remember this, my first trip abroad, okay, I was 17 years old. Uh, I was 17, imagine, people, long time ago. My first trip abroad, it was in the late 90s. It was in 1998. And I was traveling. I was going to England to study English. I was going on this interchange program. And I had this trip, but I had a connect, even though my final destination was London, the cheapest flight had a connection in New York. So it would be cheaper for me to go from Brazil, Sao Paulo to New York, and then New York to London, than going straight from Sao Paulo to London. Okay, so off I went. My parents got me this ticket, and think of that. If you're from the 90s, if you're a teenager in the 90s, we didn't have cell phone, we didn't have smartphone, we didn't have internet connection. That didn't exist. That simply didn't exist. I remember my parents signed up for an internet provider when I came back, I think 6 months after I came back. So imagine that time, no communication, only telephone. Once a week, very expensive. I had no way to call my parents. Um, okay, so off I went. I was with a friend. She's an English teacher too. Now she's teaching in Canada, kids. She's teaching kids in Canada, bilingual schools. But okay, in that moment, we were both 17 and we went to the south of England to study English for the summer period. And okay, we had to wait in New York for a few hours and we decided to go to McDonald's. Okay, McDonald's, okay. There's no big deal in going to McDonald's. You can go to McDonald's and ask for number one. Everybody thinks that. Yes, everybody thinks, okay, if I can't speak English, I just go to McDonald's and ask for number one and it should be okay. And off I went. I was nervous, of course, not because I couldn't speak English. I was advanced. I had finished my course here in Brazil already. I was an advanced student. I had an international certificate. I could speak English in classroom really well. But then we decided to go to McDonald's. I bought number one. I saw the price behind the attendant. There was the price. Okay, so I got the money because back in the 90s, we didn't have cards to pay. We had money in cash. So, okay, I separated the money. I gave to the guy, and then he said something that I couldn't understand. I just understood that the money was wrong. I needed to put more money, but I was looking on the board, and then I started getting nervous. I know what feels like to. Okay, I have no idea. I want to run away. I have no idea how to solve that. Oh God, please help me. And then I said, I beg your pardon. And then I'm sorry, I didn't get it. And then he said again, I needed to put more money. He wasn't speaking fast. He wasn't patient. He didn't care. He just wanted to finish that deal. And I couldn't get what he was saying. My friend was not close to me. But then I looked to him, to her, like I was scared in my face. And then she came close to me and said, I have no idea what he's saying. I said in Portuguese. I said in Portuguese, said, I can get what he's saying. And then she understood, said, what is that? How much is that? And then he said, this is the price. Now I can get, this is the price without tax. With the taxes that we have to pay, it was a little bit more, a few cents more. And that's what he was trying to tell me. But I got so nervous uh, that I couldn't get in that moment. And I was frustrated in the end. It was the first talk, my first experience talking to a foreigner, to a native speaker, because until then I was only talking to my teachers at school. And it was quite frustrating for me. And then I said, oh my God, I'm going to spend 1 month outside Brazil with people that don't speak Portuguese. What is that going to be in my life? Oh my God, what am I doing? I was 17. I was scared. I was far from my parents. First time I was traveling abroad. I had no way to communicate like we do nowadays, like WhatsApp, internet, and everything. I had no way to do that. And okay, off I went from New York to London. And then in London, I needed to find the transfer guy and get to Bournemouth, which was the city I studied. It was a city by the coast, south coast of England. And then everything went fine in the end. But what made me feel calmer and what would have helped me in that moment? Breathe. First thing, breathe. And if you tell the person, I'm sorry, I can't get you, I couldn't get it, I couldn't get it, the people will understand, and people tend to help you, especially if you're in a business environment. I'm sure no one no native, a visitor to your department, will not help you. I don't believe that. I really can't imagine a scenario in which the person will not be willing to help you. If you say that, I'm sorry, I'm still learning English. Can you speak a little bit slower? So some key sentences will help you with that. Okay, so use these uh, key sentences to have yourself some time to breathe and calm down, because you probably know everything or most of the things. Okay. Here, Marcelo said on YouTube, I was stopped by the federal officer and went through a difficult situation, but I managed to communicate and was released after interrogation. First time that I went to the USA. I imagine, because being stopped by the federal officer in the immigration, you say, oh my God, I'm not going to enter the country. I'm not going to be allowed to enter the country. They're going to just send me back to Brazil. I have never been there, but I know people that have faced this. So what do you have to do? Calm down. And in the end, it wasn't that difficult. And you never forget that you are not supposed to know everything. And people will try to help you. Okay? If you show them that you are interested in learning and improving. And you can use and you can use them to learn new things. Yesterday I told you that I went to Miami. I had a corporate event with my husband in April, last April. And then there was a night, the final dinner party in the last day. Um, we were having this dinner party, and I was wearing, in Portuguese, wearing a I forgot the name, echape. I was wearing one because it was kind of cold, not cold, but kind of cold, and I was wearing it. And then I realized that I didn't know how to say echape in English. I didn't know. And I was talking to an American woman. She works there. She works in the office there. And I was talking to her, and then I said, we were talking in English, okay, normally, off topic, not business. And then uh, she, I asked her, said, how do you call this in English? Very good class, like vocabulary, new vocabulary. And then she looked and she said, she thought she didn't know too. And then she said, I would say this is a pashmina. I would call it a pashmina. I said, okay, now. And in Portuguese, we call pashmina too. Some people call it echape or pashmina. And she said, she looked, I would say this is pashmina. So you can use them to help you learn new vocabulary. Okay? Don't be afraid of asking for help in these situations. Okay? And make sure that you breathe. Don't forget to breathe. I will say this many times, because when we breathe, we think better. It gets better for us. Agree? Yeah? Uh, so this case is the situation, okay? Calm down. Have some key sentences. You can say, I'm sorry, I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I'm still learning English. Can you slow down? Can you speak a little bit slower? So having these key words, sentences will help you calm down and start the communication. Okay? And make sure that as a basic or a limited speaker yet, you are not going to be able to talk about everything in English. Don't be afraid of that. You won't be able to talk about everything. I told you, I don't know who was here, like in the other talks we had this week, but I told you that in this same event I was talking to a director of the company that lived in Brazil for a while, and he can speak Portuguese because he lived here for 4 years. Then he moved back to the United States. Then he came back for other 2 years. Now he's living there. And then I asked him, said, how do you see people, Brazilian people that are speaking English with you? And then he says, many people, no, not many people. He told me American, a native person, a native speaker. He said, I think Brazilian people speak uh, English in a very well situation. At least in the office, I could talk to everybody, and especially they want to make it happen. And this is very valuable. And I think Brazilian people speak English better than American people speak Portuguese. So they think, and he said, I made this effort. Not all the Americans come to Brazil and they want to learn Portuguese, not all of them, but he made this effort to have these talks. He said, in many times of the day I was the only American uh, working with the team, so I wanted to speak Portuguese, so I made this effort to improve my Portuguese. But I know I'm a foreigner speaker of Portuguese with you. In this case, I'm limited to what I know, my routine at work. What we do our best at work. And he said, but of course I cannot sit with you if you're talking about other topics, because there is something that you need to consider. Sometimes when we are talking about, we having a free conversation, we have our background, cultural background, and some some internal jokes or some references that we have from our teens uh, that make sense for us that grew up in Brazil won't make sense for them. So the limitation is related to their background, cultural background. And the same happens there. I have a friend, a very good friend, uh, another story now, okay? This very good friend of mine, she lives in the United States now. She's been living there. She's been working for an American company for 8 years. She was my student 15 years ago. And we became very good friends. And she's living there in the United States. And I was talking to her, and when she moved to the US, she works in the financial area. She's a financial manager in her company. And I told her, what was your biggest challenge when you arrived in the United States? And she was dating an American guy. And she said, Fabi, I had no problems to use my English at work. But I had some limitations when we were like on weekends having a barbecue, and all the American guys were talking about a joke related to something. And she even gave this example. She said, "Oh, when we make a reference to to Ashe music that we used to sing when we were teen, when we were in the 90s, we have that background. They wouldn't understand the joke, and the same happened to me. The reference that that they used to have to their bands in the 90s, or to TV shows that they watched when they were kids or teens, said, I don't have that. At first, I was very frustrated, but then I understood that this is not going to be the same because I'm not a native speaker. Now she's a citizen. She got after 2 years there, she got her green card, and now she had a test in the beginning of this year, and she's a U.S. She has the double citizenship now. She's a U.S. citizen and Brazilian citizen because she needed to have a history test, based American history test, for them to offer them to allow her to be a U.S. citizen. So she could communicate really well. She had an American history test and she was approved to have the citizenship. And even though she says, Fabi, okay, sometimes I don't understand jokes, and that's okay. People need to be okay with that. You see? Uh, so consider all of these and analyze if you are not pushing too hard on yourself at first. Because if you're thinking that speaking English is like the Everest mountain, and you are at the bottom of the Everest, and okay, my fluency is on top of the world, this tends to let you down. But if you understand that you have, as I said yesterday, you have levels and what you can do in each level, and if you understand somehow that you are going to grow, uh, uh, if you tend to grow cons- consistently, this is the secret. This is better than thinking of the top of the world when you can't communicate basic stuff. People tend to help you. Okay. Another example. I love bringing these examples because I love trying new languages. Okay, and this story here was very fun because when I went to England, that I told you this story that we had a connecting flight on New York in New York. I spent the summer there in England, and there was an excursion organized by someone of the school from the school I was studying English to visit Paris. And off we went to Paris for a weekend because we were in the dark in the south of England, and then we only needed to get the English Channel, Canal da Mancha, to cross to France. So um, uh, to visit Paris. So then I decided to spend one weekend there, and I had a very serious problem to talk. I to talk in English to French people. I don't know if you know, but French people don't like people who don't speak French with them. And I went to a cafeteria to get some cokes. It was very hot, and then I bought two cokes. And then I asked the guy, "How much is that?" And he wouldn't answer. And I had the money in my hands back in 1998. I had the money, and I said, "How much is that?" I pointed to the two cokes on the counter, and I said, "How much is that?" He just turned and laughed. Said, "Okay, I need to pay. You want everybody understands how much is that, especially if you're in Paris and if you are working with tourism, if you're in a touristic area." I'm sure he understood that, but he wanted to make it a point because he wanted to force me to speak French, and I didn't know how to speak French. Okay, a French guy, a nice French guy next to me, he talked to the guy that I was trying to pay and how much it was. And then he said in French, I knew the numbers in French. He said in French, it was 20 francs. And I could understand 20 francs. It was the money before euros. And then I got the money. I was really upset. I got the money. I threw on the counter. I got my Coke and I left. And I was really upset with the French people. A few years later, I went back to Paris again on my honeymoon, a few days there. But I told my husband that I wanted to study some French because I wanted to know the basic key sentences for not to be in trouble. So I'm really a A1 level speaker of French. I was better in the past. Now I'm A1, very basic stuff. But then I memorized the sentence. And you can do that using in English if this is your question. Okay, you memorize the sentence. When I wanted to ask for information, I needed to where's the subway, um, where's the restaurant, where can I go to the hotel, things like that. I memorized this sentence in French, and I said, "I'm sorry," in French, okay? Pardon, je ne parle pas français. Est-ce que vous pouvez parler portugais ou anglais avec moi, s'il vous plaît? Oh, my French is really poor, but okay, I memorized that. But at first, I said, "Pardon, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I can't speak French. Can you help me in English or Portuguese, please?" And then everybody helped me in English because, oh no, there was a woman from the information center. She had lived in Portugal, so she spoke Portuguese. And she, oh, I'd love to talk to you in Portuguese, European Portuguese. But anyway, she helped me with some information. But this is the deal. Having these conversations in English will not be You won't have control of every word, and this may scare you. But if this happens, breathe. Have some key sentences to help you organize your mind and have some time to think of how to continue. I'm sure people will try to help you. Unless it's unless if you are that French guy from the cafeteria back in the 1998 in Paris. Otherwise, people will help you. Okay? Um, do you have any questions, people? Tomorrow we have our. Oh, I love this talk. To what I prepared for you for tomorrow. Tomorrow is our last live stream. Okay, because on Sunday, first class will be released. As I said, if you haven't registered yet to participate in Semana do Inglês para o Trabalho, just register. The link is in bio or in the description of this video. On Sunday, first class, you are going to have all the initial part of the explanation of how to leave this area that you are living with your communication in English, okay? Tomorrow, we'll talk about effective communication at meetings in English. I love talking about this. I had a class for my students, and I'm going to bring like a free sample of it for you tomorrow, and I'm sure you're going to love. So tomorrow, 6:30, we'll be back. Let me see if there are any questions. Many comments here. I couldn't follow all of them. I couldn't read everything. Let the ego go away. It's better. Thanks for that. And one more time. It's very good. You're not alone. Yeah. Now, is there anybody here going to Paris to watch the Olympic Games? Totally agree. Sometimes I feel guilty when my colleagues don't understand me. It seems I'm never good enough. Gilles, let's talk about this. I think this is important to say. Sometimes you're pushing too hard on yourself. And this feeling that you have that you are not good enough may be related to the moment. Sorry, it may be related to what we said yesterday. Okay, yesterday I said you need to be able to understand your real level of English, and then communicate in that level. If for example, if you work in a global team and everybody speaks faster, and you are like, you feel like you know that you are a few steps behind, you need to improve that. How do you improve that? Vocabulary basis, good vocabulary basis, guided to what you need. You need also improve your what I call phonetics reference, and this is the topic about tomorrow. Effective communication is closely related to the phonetics basis. Maybe you are trying to say some very complex structures, as you would say in Portuguese, but you don't have that level yet in English. So you need to make your communication in a simple way, in a more simple way, and also understand the phonetics reference. Maybe your colleagues, I don't know if they're Brazilian or not. If they're Brazilian, they can understand you pretty well. But if they're foreigners, there is this situation related to our accent, to our pronunciation, not to our accent, to the interference that we have from Brazilian Portuguese in the way we speak English. You want to see a very simple example. And during the classes of Semana do Inglês para o Trabalho, you're going to have a full class of it, okay, to understand this importance. The other day I taught this to a student, and then he said, "Teacher, oh my God," he was so shocked when he understood how powerful this is. And then he said, "Teacher," and he said in Portuguese. He forgot he was talking. Until that moment, he was talking to me in English. But then I saw his face. He froze in front of the screen and he said, "Teacher, isso é libertador." Por que ninguém me ensinou isso antes? Quanta reunião teria sido mais fácil para mim? And then I said, okay, now I'm teaching you. It's better late than never. But for example, for you to understand, my son, a few years ago, he was having a homework from school, a piece of homework. And there was the word B-O-R-E-D, bored. But then he said, he was 10 years old. He said, Mom, what is bondage? Bondage? What is bondage? Yes, here in my book, bondage. I said, this is board. No, Mom, it's written bondage here. I said, no, it's not written board. Bondage, it's written board. And the pronunciation of board, like entediado, chateado, is the same pronunciation of this, what I have here in the back of me. Like board, lousa, quadro, board, board. Same pronunciation, different spellings. But why do we Brazilians tend to read that as bondage? Because of the interference of our Portuguese. For us, that combination of letters will be spoken as bondage. I don't know if this is your case, okay? But if in your example you're speaking bondage instead of board, for non-Brazilian speakers, it will be a problem to get it. You see, so it's simple to solve that, but it needs guided practice and focus on the right things. I'm sure many of you have started to study English and say, oh, now it's my year to study English. And then you study 6 months, and then you study other 6 months, and you don't feel yourself like really moving forward. What happens? Maybe you are studying, but not in the right way and not putting the focus on the right things you have to. Okay? So think of that. Join us on the free classes of Semana do Inglês do Trabalho. Adriana said here, how can I get the link to participate in the week? Link is in bio, okay? Link is in bio. Here on Instagram, you can get it there, or you can send me a direct message. I'll send you that to you, okay? What else? People today here on YouTube are very quiet, except for Marcelo. Marcelo said a lot of things here. Thanks for helping, teacher. That I hope it has helped you, and I hope to see you during the classes of Semana do Inglês do Trabalho. If you have questions, send me a message. If you liked this, please click on the like button because it helps me as a digital creator. The algorithm understands that this is good. So please do that. And if you haven't, here on YouTube too. And I'll see you back tomorrow talking about effective communication in business English. Okay? Bye, everyone. See you.